Hey, Kevin here, and we're doing a little landscaping project today. We've been working around the house here to get our lawn established. And you can see it's kind of working its way around. It's sort of growing all by itself, and we got a sort of a hodgepodge of different types of grasses and clovers and some weeds and whatever. But we have a little bit of a challenge in that we're working with sand. That's what they call it brown sand here. Sandy dirt, dirty sand, whatever you want to call it. It does grow. You can see the trees and the bushes and things. There's enough nutrient in here, but it's just the fact that it's very porous. The water runs right through it really quickly. We have, which is good since we get about 80 inches of rain a year here. Otherwise, we'd be swimming. So anyway, we're working on our side yard here. So the first thing we're doing is we're putting down this sun and shade grass seed that we found. Actually, our kids turned us onto it. They had put it down to fill in a new part of the yard that they had just graded, and it grew really rapidly. They watered it really thoroughly on a daily basis, but it went from grass seed to lawn in about a week, which was pretty amazing, and I was impressed. So I said, okay, where'd you get the stuff? Anyway, we'll have a link for it. It's on Amazon. We just had them ship us in a few more bags to do this yard today.
I think it's good to note that we did use another grass seed that was like half the cost, but it didn't do anything.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
We threw seed
wasted
down
2 months.
last fall before we left on vacation, and it was starting to rain, and we thought, okay, that's probably a good time to do it. Well, it didn't really come in very well, and so we got busy doing other things, and we're back to late summer here, and we're deciding we wanted to, since we're going to be here for a while, we're going to be able to irrigate it, and we're going to get it established because we're tired of walking on the sand and tracking the sand all over the place. So I went through and I knocked out some of the more ornery weeds, if you will, to get them out of here so that I didn't have to deal with them, because we're not going to be able to walk on this for a good month or 6 weeks, something like that. Just depends on how well it comes in, how quickly. But anyway, we're putting this Pennington's is the brand name. We'll put a link in there. Sun and Shade. It's got fertilizer in it as well, which really I think is a big key here to make this stuff really pop. And it's nice because it's got a coating on the seed, so you can see it when you're putting it down. You can tell where it's at and how thick it is. If you were just putting regular old brown grass seed down, it'd be harder to tell where you had put it and how thick of a rate you're putting it down. So we put it down pretty thick. We're not skimping here. We want to get this up and running, and then we're going to cover it with a bit of a topsoil mix that we're using. And we get this, it's a local product that we're getting, but it's basically composted steer manure, composted what they call forest material, which is bark, sawdust, whatever, and I think there's a little bit of nitrogen in there, so it seems to be doing the trick, and it gives us a little bit of a cover up, holds some moisture in, and puts a nice cover over the top of this sand so that we can kind of see, and it makes it easier to see the grass when it's coming up. It pops up real nice in contrast. And if we want to break from here, we'll go over and we'll look at 2 other patches we started. The first one is how old now? Month? So we got a month-old grass patch, and we got one that's a week old.
Actually, no, it's not. It's 3 weeks.
Okay.
It's 3 weeks.
Okay. 3 weeks.
Yep, and a week.
So let's go take a look at those. Okay, so here is a 1 week seed. We put this down 7 days ago, and it was bald just like the other patch that we're about to do. Just sand and a little bit of patch of grass here and there, but you can see 1 week in, we got a nice germination here, and we got plenty of grass coming up. And so we're just leaving this, we're watering it every day, and we're just
multiple times a day.
We're making sure it stays wet, and you can see it's filling in real nice. It got a good germination here, nice and thick. And then so 3 weeks now. You'll see the taller grass over here was pre-established grass. You can see these thicker patches here. It's a different type of grass. But if you just look out here, that smaller, finer grass is the seed that we put down 3 weeks ago. So 2 weeks older than the one we just looked at, and you can see how thick this is coming in real nice. And we're watering it at the same daily rate that we're watering the patch that we just looked at. So it fills in pretty quickly. We had a couple of spots out here that, and here was the key thing. We didn't put the cover material, the compost out in that area out there, and you can see that's a little thinner. So we came back in when we started this one over here a week ago, threw some more seed down and got some cover material, the compost, out there on that part as well, and it seems to be making a big difference. We're getting a good germination out there now too. So anyway, it's a relatively inexpensive way to get your lawn started, and it starts really fast if you got the irrigation on it.
So I just want to point out to everybody watching the video, on the right side of the screen right now, that's 1 week old. On the left side of the screen right now, that's 3 weeks old.
Yeah, so you can see quickly establishing with just a few
and
weeks.
A week ago, this part on the right looked just like the previous clip we just showed you in the yard that we're just getting started on.
Yeah, it was just brown sand out here, a little bit of patchy spots of grass and some weeds, and so we just went through and I sprinkled the seed down, and Isa came behind me with the topsoil or the compost, and we just worked our way back and forth. We set our sprinkler so we knew how far it would reach back and forth. It's an oscillating sprinkler you can pick up at any hardware store. And so we made sure we turned it on and found out how far the spray pattern went back and forth. We wanted it to get to the greenhouse on this side, and then however far it would go that direction is how far we went in and seeded so that we could stay, wet. And so we got a little bit more back that way that we're going to have to fill in later, but we're just working a patch.
But we don't want to move the sprinkler because we don't want to walk on the lawn.
We need this to just stay put. So we got 2 sprinklers, and we're going to have a 3rd sprinkler over here that we're just going to keep rotating, keeping them wet all through the week.
And this grass seed is twice as expensive as the original first stuff that we used. But it's actually worth it because we're actually getting grass. The other one, heck
of a lot cheaper than trying to put down sod, and as long as you can keep it wet, it'll take off and go for you. So it should be, by the time we get into fall, we'll have a nice established lawn out here, and at some point we'll start mowing. We're not in a hurry. This is probably going to sit for another maybe month. I don't know. We'll have to see how it looks at that point, just to get it good and rooted in and established before I give it its first mow and get it nice and thick. So that's where we're at. Just thought we'd give you and you can see we have a nice planting here right off the front of the patio. We put all this in over the last, I don't know, since last fall, I guess, huh? Started last fall.
The plants.
Yeah, putting in this planter along the. So we gave ourselves about a 2-foot space right here to mix in, and everything is just growing in this sand. I mean, we really haven't amended this part. It's doing very well in here, all by itself. It really took off. These plants were very small when we first put them in, and they really spread and filled in nicely and gave us a nice array of textures and colors. And there's some herbs in here. There's some ornamental sedums and grasses, and there's rose bush, and this is poppy, right? Got a big lavender right here, got really big. Where we're at, because we're up against the Pacific Ocean here in Washington State, it's a pretty temperate climate, so that fuchsia is actually something that will survive. It dies back to the ground in the winter and then pops back up and gives us a nice
There's
show.
my mermaid.
Some irises, some other annuals that we've got potted right there. So just a nice mixture of volunteer sunflower seed that popped up from the bird feeder, and I think there's about, 9 flowers on it, and there's a few more coming. So it's really turning into like a sunflower bush, which is kind of cool. And a lot of this we just picked up here and there and got small starts and stuck them in the ground, and they're taking off. We've got some plum and lilacs. Got a little lilac bush we got from our daughter's house, and a little plum tree that we snuck out, and just filling in real good. And then we got a little bit of a backside here up against the property line runs another 6 feet or so behind this planting right here, but it's kind of a buffer zone for us. And then we got some stuff in the ground, some stuff in the pots. We're at, you know, starting to take some shape, so looking pretty good here. We're going to get at it with the grass seed on this patch over here. This patch is going to be the next piece that we do, and you can see it's just it looks like a beach or a desert. But it's amazing what a little bit of topsoil and fertilizer does, because this is just this looked exactly like this 3 weeks ago. So, there you have it. Installing the landscape on the cheap.